Everyone's talking about one medieval supergrain that was better than wheat. But today, I've got a surprise for you. We're not covering one grain. We're diving into 5 powerhouse grains that beat rice on protein, fiber, and health benefits. And the last grain on this list will honestly shock you. If you eat rice every day, you really want to see this. Before we go on, one quick thing. Most people watch without subscribing, and we understand that. But every grain in this video survived because someone refused to let it disappear. If you believe food history matters, and that this knowledge deserves another generation, hit subscribe. That one click helps keep what almost vanished alive. Quinoa. Quinoa grows on steep, terraced slopes in the Andes, mainly in Peru and Bolivia. Farmers have used it as a staple crop for over 5,000 years. Most Western countries ignored quinoa until the late 20th century, focusing on wheat, rice, and corn instead. Quinoa survives at altitudes up to 4,000 meters, where oxygen is thin and other crops like potatoes fail. In the Andes, whole families depend on it to work, farm, and survive in a tough climate. In the 1980s, international nutrition studies confirmed what local people already know. Quinoa contains higher protein and fiber than common grains. A standard 100-gram serving of cooked quinoa contains about 4.4 to 5.6 grams of protein and 2.8 to 5 grams of fiber, depending on the variety and conditions. By comparison, white rice contains only 2.7 grams of protein and 0.4 grams of fiber per 100 grams cooked. This means quinoa offers double the protein and up to 12 times more fiber per serving. It is also a complete protein, which means it provides all 9 essential amino acids that humans must get from food. Very few plant-based foods offer this. Quinoa also performs better than white rice for people who need to control blood sugar. It digests slower, raising blood glucose levels more gradually. Nutritionists place it alongside oats and barley for people managing diabetes or trying to avoid energy crashes. Each cup of cooked quinoa supplies about 8 grams of protein and 5 grams of fiber, while also delivering magnesium, iron, and zinc. The crop is tough. Quinoa grows in poor soils, survives cool nights, and resists many common plant diseases. Its bitter saponin coating keeps birds and insects away. To prepare quinoa, cooks must rinse it under water to remove these saponins, then simmer for 15 minutes using twice as much water as the seed. The result is a fluffy grain used in salads, bowls, or porridge. In home gardens, quinoa seeds should be sown in early spring, about half an inch deep. Plants are thinned to a foot apart. They grow rapidly and mature in 90 to 150 days, depending on weather. Harvest happens when seed heads turn dry. Farmers rub the seeds off by hand and rinse them before eating. Quinoa's ability to grow under harsh conditions and its strong nutrition profile explain its comeback on global tables. This success sets up a sharp contrast to another ancient grain, amaranth, which faces destruction by law and empire. Amaranth appears in archaeological records from Mesoamerica, with evidence of use by the Aztec, Maya, and Inca civilizations going back at least 8,000 years. In 16th century Mexico, Spanish conquerors target amaranth fields because priests use the grain for religious rituals. In Aztec ceremonies, statues of gods are made from amaranth and honey, then consumed by worshippers. Spanish officials view this as a threat and respond by banning the crop. Anyone caught growing amaranth risks severe punishment, including physical violence and land confiscation. Despite these efforts, the plant survives, sometimes as a weed, sometimes hidden in small home gardens, and sometimes disguised as a decorative flower. Today, it continues to be used in Mexican foods, like alegría, a traditional sweet that combines popped amaranth with honey or sugar syrup. A serving of 100 grams of cooked amaranth provides about 4 grams of protein, 3 grams of fiber, and around 102 to 103 calories. This outperforms white rice, which only contains 2.7 grams of protein and 0.4 grams of fiber in the same portion. Amaranth is also a rich source of iron, calcium, magnesium, and phosphorus. For example, dry amaranth contains 7.6 milligrams of iron and 159 milligrams of calcium per 100 grams, while rice provides far less. Studies show amaranth's protein quality is high because of its lysine content, an amino acid lacking in most grains. Research connects diets rich in amaranth to lower cholesterol and improved blood pressure, supporting its reputation as a nutraceutical or functional food. Growing amaranth requires warm temperatures and full sun. Gardeners sow seeds just beneath the soil surface in spring. The plants grow quickly, reaching up to 2 meters tall in good conditions. When the seed heads droop and dry, they are harvested, dried further, and the seeds are separated by shaking or rubbing. A single square meter can yield as much seed as rice or maize in productive regions. Amaranth thrives in marginal soils and handles drought, helping small farmers maintain food supply during bad years. Cultural restrictions and legal bans nearly erase amaranth from global diets. But its survival shows how political and religious factors change food history. The crop's ability to return after centuries of suppression proves the resilience of traditional knowledge. Amaranth's comeback leads directly to another grain once dominant in Europe: millet, a crop with its own complex journey through famine, neglect, and rediscovery. Millet is among the earliest grains domesticated by humans, with evidence from northern China dating back about 10,000 years. By the Middle Ages, millet was a staple food across much of Europe, sometimes grown more widely than wheat. Farmers use it for porridge, gruel, and bread, while richer classes prefer wheat for fine white flour. In times of war or famine, millet helps populations survive, especially in areas with poor soil or unreliable rainfall. Over centuries, as rice and wheat spread through trade and changing diets, millet's reputation declines, and it becomes a symbol of peasant life. Cookbooks from the modern period ignore it almost completely. A typical serving of cooked millet, 100 grams, offers about 3.5 grams of protein, 1.3 grams of fiber, and roughly 118 to 119 calories. That makes millet more nutritious than white rice by both protein and fiber content. Raw millet contains around 11% protein and over 3% fiber, along with vitamins and minerals like magnesium and phosphorus. In recent decades, clinical studies show that millet-based diets can lower fasting blood glucose and HbA1c, which helps people with type 2 diabetes. For example, a millet dosa has a glycemic index of around 59 compared to 78 for a rice dosa, meaning a slower, less intense spike in blood sugar. Other millets, like barnyard millet, show even lower glycemic index values, sometimes in the 30s. Growing millet is straightforward for small farmers and gardeners. Seeds are sown in spring after the soil warms, usually about a quarter-inch deep and spaced a few inches apart in rows. Millet matures in 60 to 120 days, depending on the species. The crop grows well in hot, dry regions and poor soils, explaining its continued use in drought-prone parts of Africa and Asia as a famine food. Once the plants reach knee height, they shade out weeds and need little care beyond occasional watering. Harvest occurs when the seed heads turn golden and the seeds become hard. Millet's history reveals a cycle of success, decline, and rediscovery. While modern agriculture once turned away from millet, new attention to food security and diabetes risk brings it back into focus. Its combination of short growing season, drought tolerance, and solid nutrition makes it valuable in both ancient and modern food systems. Next, another overlooked grain comes into view: barley, with a history tied to both beer and health research. Barley stands out in archaeological records as one of the earliest domesticated grains, with evidence from ancient Mesopotamia and Egypt. In medieval Europe, barley forms the backbone of the diet for both peasants and monks, showing up in bread, soup, and most famously, beer. Until wheat production expands, barley is often the grain of daily life. In Scandinavia, the British Isles, and parts of Central Europe, barley fields stretch across the landscape, providing essential calories through harsh winters and unreliable harvests. A 100-gram serving of cooked hulled barley contains around 2 to 3 grams of protein, nearly 4 grams of fiber, and about 123 to 130 calories. This is nearly 10 times more fiber per serving than white rice, which averages 0.4 to 0.5 grams. Much of barley's fiber comes as beta-glucan, a soluble fiber that lowers blood sugar and cholesterol. Scientific trials show that meals with high beta-glucan barley reduce blood glucose and insulin spikes. lowering the glycemic index by 20 points or more compared to white rice. Barley's glycemic index sits around 28 to 30, placing it in the low category. Health agencies in Europe and North America allow food producers to make heart health claims about barley fiber, linking regular consumption to reduced LDL cholesterol and improved cardiovascular risk profiles. Barley is grown as a cool season annual, sown early in spring or fall depending on climate. Seeds are planted about an inch deep, in rows 15 to 20 centimeters apart, with dense spacing for strong stands. Barley tolerates poor soils, drought, and some salinity, and grows quickly in cool weather. The crop matures in 90 to 120 days, with harvest signaled by golden seed heads and hard grains. Farmers use barley in rotation with other crops to improve soil health and support beneficial microbes. Barley's modern role extends to health-conscious consumers, as studies show benefits for blood sugar, digestive health, and cholesterol management. Its low glycemic behavior makes it important for people with insulin resistance. In food history, barley bridges the gap between basic survival and long-term health outcomes. After barley, another ancient crop, teff, emerges from highland Africa with a unique nutritional profile and critical role in regional diets. Teff has been a key crop in Ethiopia for thousands of years. Archaeological evidence and genetic studies suggest its use predates written records, with estimates placing teff's domestication at least 5,000 years ago. In Ethiopia, teff is the main ingredient in injera, a fermented flatbread that serves as both food and utensil. Farmers grow teff in high-altitude fields between 1,800 and 2,100 meters, relying on its ability to thrive in both droughts and heavy rains. The grain is extremely small, with up to 3,000 seeds fitting in a single teaspoon, making it difficult to harvest using modern machines. Nutritional analysis shows that cooked teff contains around 101 calories, 4 grams of protein, and 20 grams of carbohydrate per 100 grams. Dry teff is about 13% protein and 73% carbohydrate, with 2% fat. Teff provides more iron, calcium, and other minerals than most other grains. For example, dry teff contains up to 14 milligrams of iron per 100 grams, and its calcium content can surpass that of wheat, barley, or rice. Studies in Ethiopia show that teff-based diets are linked to lower rates of anemia and undernutrition. Teff is gluten-free, and its starch digests slowly, resulting in more stable blood sugar levels. A cup of cooked teff supplies around 10 grams of protein, putting it on par with an egg, and more calcium than many common cereals. Teff is usually sown as a warm season annual crop. Farmers broadcast seed on a firm, moist seedbed, using 15 to 20 kilograms of seed per hectare. The seeds are extremely shallow, less than a quarter-inch deep. Deeper planting often leads to crop failure, because the seeds do not have enough energy to reach the surface. Germination takes 3 to 12 days, with optimal soil temperatures between 15 and 35 degrees Celsius. Teff tolerates a wide range of soils, including sandy and clay types, and survives both waterlogged and drought-prone seasons. Harvesting is challenging because the seeds shatter easily. Farmers must act quickly to prevent loss. Teff's dense nutrition, drought resistance, and adaptability keep it central to Ethiopian food security. Outside Ethiopia, teff's reputation is growing for use in gluten-free products and nutrient-rich foods. Its success underlines the value of ancient grains in modern diets, especially as demand for sustainable, reliable crops increases globally. These 5 grains, each with unique histories and strengths, challenge conventional ideas about staple foods and offer practical solutions for food systems under pressure. There are more hidden stories behind every meal. Stay with us and see what history uncovers next. For another surprising discovery, just watch the next video right now.